If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today,
where the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away.
and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land.
God bless the USA.
God bless the USA.
From the lakes of Minnesota
to the hills of Tennessee,
across the plains of Texas, oh, from sea to shining sea,
From Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA,
where there's pride in every American heart,
and it's time we stand and say, oh, and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I'd rather stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. God bless this country. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
God bless the USA. That's too wide a camera angle. I didn't notice that before. Hang on just a second. Let me fix this. You guys don't need to see all the crap and clutter in my room. Just a moment. There we go. That's better. That's better. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Daily All Hat No Cattle News Rodeo. I'm your host, Hat, and God bless the USA, and God bless all of us. I have confirmed. All I get from YouTube for that is a kind of a copyright notice that I can't monetize the show because of that. But since they demonetized me months ago, who the hell cares? So up yours, YouTube. I'm going to play it every day. By the way, folks, watching on YouTube, by the end of the month, if I don't hear from you, I'm going to stop broadcasting on YouTube altogether. Both the News Rodeo and the morning game streams. I'm not getting any type of engagements from y'all. I've had literally 2 new chatters ever on my game streams on YouTube, and that was in the last 2 days. One yesterday, one today. Other than that, no YouTube chatters. Aside from one person who originally is from DLive and has been watching on YouTube because they have some DLive issues. But that's it, folks. That's it. So make your voices heard, because if I don't hear from you by the end of August, boop, YouTube's gone. I'm totally serious. All right. You know what? Let's just go ahead and get to it. Not much else to say. Oh, by the way, my Tommy John underwear came today. I took the hit decided to give it a try, and I'm looking forward to it. Got 3 pair to see if it checks out. But real quick, something I want to bring up. I mentioned this in the morning stream. This is an item I picked up by pure accident, really, on D-Live, on Amazon day before yesterday. This is it's basically a sleep headphones, wireless eye mask, and or wireless sports headband. Here it is right here. It's all charged up. Hang on a second. Put that back where I can get to it. Oh, I forgot to give myself my shot earlier. I'll have to do that afterwards. But here it is. And right here on each side, it's so hard to do, is a little speaker. It fits right inside the inside of your ear, so it's not pressing against the auricle at all. So there's no pressure points to worry about. And I'm a side sleeper, so I am the worst candidate for that. I wore this last night, and it's basically a Bluetooth headphone. So what I can do is, instead of having to turn up the speaker on my iPad or on my phone, because I like to listen to things as I'm falling asleep, and sometimes I turn it back on if I wake up and can't get back to sleep, it's hard to hear it over the speaker because the closest thing I have is my bookshelf. And that's far enough away to where the fan noise gets in the way, and I have to turn it up so much that it's kind of annoying. But with this, I can turn it down quite a bit, and it's totally hearable, and it worked great. It worked great. Long battery life, lasted all night and into the morning, and I really like it. I really like it. It was cheap too. I mean, if it was $15, it was $1. I mean, really, it wasn't that expensive at all. Don't know how long it's going to last. And if you can see here, it's got controls on the front for raising and lowering the volume. Press this right here, and you pause the audio. It works great. It works great. I didn't have one problem with it last night, and that was the very first night I had it. So, God bless Amazon. Let's see how it works. I'd like to welcome Big Blaze to the Trovo chat. Oh, I'm sorry, that was earlier this morning. Sorry, I got confused. Anyway, so welcome, real quickly, YouTube, Twitch, Trovo, and D-Live, not necessarily in that order. Glad to have you all here. Now, let's get to the show. All right. So, let me fix that. Here we go. All right. So, remember, it's Friday. So, with Friday, we end the show with the latest FreedomToons. And they had one upload yesterday. It is a complete listing of all of the Fauci flip-flops, I believe on masking specifically, so we'll get into that. But that'll be at the end of the show. Right now we have our original Babylon Bee bookend on the left, and let's see here. Oh, here we go. No, this is better. This is from the politics section, and it says here, Cori Bush hires mercenary army to arrest anyone who doesn't want to defund the police. And here we have Cori, resplendent in black on black on black, with the kind of repeating Black Lives Matter logo on the front of her T-shirt, wearing, of course, her favorite Good Trouble COVID mask, which is of course completely worthless, but behind her is an entire spec ops force. So let's see what we've got here. Dateline Washington, D.C. Representative Cori Bush has reportedly hired her own army of private mercenaries to go out and arrest anyone who doesn't want to defund the police. She unveiled the Black Ops military force on the Capitol steps today as she gave an impassioned speech about defunding the police. Quote, "If you don't want to defund the police, my private army has been ordered to take care of you," she said, standing in front of dozens of hardened, trained private special forces. Quote, "Bush, Spike, Zero, Ace's Skull, go get 'em!" The private military she's hired with her healthy congressional salary then went out to find anyone who didn't like Bush's idea of defunding the police to apprehend them. Many tried to call the police to protect themselves, but their cities had already defunded the police and nobody responded, or else a social worker showed up to ask about their feelings. Bush has arrested thousands of Americans so far. Prisons are filling up quickly, but no worries. Bush says she is holding a protest to make sure violent criminals are released as soon as possible to make room for pro-police Americans. Babylon Bee, everyone. By the way, I just realized the reason I was late today, I forgot to mention this, is I had a last minute, let's just say pit stop that I couldn't avoid. So that caused me to miss my open by a minute or so. But in the rush to get back in the chair, I just realized that I've completely forgotten to grab anything to drink. I'm going to have to shout out to Picasso Nose to grab me a root beer. So give me just a second, please. A root beer. The sleeve. Taken care of. My executive producer coming through in the clutch. All right. So Cori Bush making her voice heard loud and clear with the great, great passion of the incredibly stupid. God bless you, Cori Bush, because no one else will. All right. So let's look at the market. The Dow closed up close to record territory today, up 0.4%. At 35,208 and change. Thank you, sir, very much, sweet. My Sprecher root beer. Have one about every 2 or 3 days. The S&P 500 was up just a fraction, slightly under 0.2%, barely registering any gains. The NASDAQ was a bit of a loser today, down 0.4%, falling below 14,850. At 14,835 and change. Gold took it in the teeth today due to the jobs report. Remember that jobs report came out and beat estimates by about 44,000, if I'm not mistaken. And so that's why the market did so well today, although it did whipsaw quite a bit back and forth. It finished a little lower than it had been at the beginning of the day. But of course, when there's great news for the economy, and that's bad news for gold futures. So they fell well below 1,800 an ounce for the first time in a while, closing at, shouldn't say closing, it's still trading, but currently at $1,760 and change per ounce, down almost a full 2.5% from the previous mark. Now, of course, the thing is, though, it's not the number of jobs added, it's the number of people filling those jobs. I don't give a damn about how many jobs there are in America right now. What I want to know is how many of those have bodies doing the work. That's what matters. And so far, businesses are closing left and right because they can't get people. Even businesses that got PPE and were able to keep people on the payroll, once the federal benefits kicked in for unemployment, none of them are coming back. These smaller businesses that can't afford to pay $25 an hour to get people off their couch are literally closing their doors for good. They're walking away because they can't get anybody to run the store. It's happening all over the place, and it's happening every day. But for some reason, the market was happy that we added more jobs. Big deal. Big deal. Crude oil also took it in the teeth today, down almost a full 1.5% at present mark. At $68.07 per barrel of West Texas Intermediate sweet crude. But again, the big winner is Bitcoin, up almost a full 5% from its previous mark, gaining almost 2,000 per coin at present. It has been up as high as, hang on a second, I had it on my phone earlier. I've got a Coinbase account so I can track Bitcoin better than I can on Seeking Alpha. Bitcoin at one point today was down as low as 39,876 and was as high as 43,399. So it's about 500 a coin under the previous high. So it's doing quite well. So again, those of you who bought during the downtime between the 64,000 and the yesterday's 40,000, congratulations, you've made yourself some money. But again, will it hold? Will it hold? You just don't know. So I'm not an investment counselor. I'm not giving investment advice. I'm just saying people who went with the dollar averaging buys over the last 6-7 weeks have done pretty well for themselves over the last couple of days. But again, will it hold? We don't know. We don't know. All right, so let's get into the news. For some reason, the Daily Wire isn't up. That's strange. I could have sworn I had it up. Weird. But I've got it right here, so no big deal. In fact, I'm going to start the show on a different footing than I normally do because Fox News has been really great with breaking stories as of late. So I've got something here that is an exclusive to Fox. This came out an hour ago by Adam Shaw. Images of migrant center in Donna, Texas show cramped conditions as border numbers surge. The facility has been a main site for migrants coming across the border. So we've got video here showing people, again, sleeping on the most high-tech mattresses in existence, according to Secretary of Department of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas, because you can't get lice on those cots. That's great. Of course, they're basically sleeping on the floor on those mattresses. And again, no, there's one bench. Look at the very back of that picture. There's literally one bench in that entire room, and that's got a guy laying on it. So no one else can use it. And we've been told over and over again by the press secretary, who, by the way, in case you don't remember, I'm talking about the arrogant, condescending, dismissive, mendacious, passive-aggressive, patronizing, self-righteous, smug, lying White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki. Yes, that press secretary. She has been telling us over and over again, as has Mayorkas, as has the diaper-wearing chief, that the border is closed. The border is closed. We're turning away record numbers at the border every day. Here's the thing. Yesterday, 900 kids came across the border. In one day, 900 kids, according to CBP. That's untenable. And as we all know, if you're under the age of 18, you are in. Period. End of story. They're supposedly gonna find you your family or a sponsorship and get you into the interior of the country. Of course, we also know that there are dozens of these UAC facilities all across the country. And I read you the whistleblower complaint last week about the horrific conditions at the Fort Bliss, quote-unquote, child center, which is basically just a bunch of tents with kids packed in like sardines, not getting any type of help whatsoever, and living in the same clothes for days at a time, including boys with not only not being able to change their underwear, but not having any underwear at all, or shoes. Sand is omnipresent in that part of Texas. It is basically the southwest desert in Texas. I've driven through it. It's pretty bleak. There is some beautiful terrain as you go further west into New Mexico, however. Quite beautiful. And Big Bend State National Park in Texas is it a national park? I just said State National Park. I apologize. I believe it's Big Bend National Park. It is incredible. It is a massive park with all kinds of great stuff. But those kids don't get to see any of that. They're crammed in their tents. The sand is filling up every nook, cranny, and crevice of not only the tent but the kids themselves. I've been in that kind of condition. If you're in that type of conditions with the wind blowing at all, within about 40 minutes, your teeth are full of grit. Every time your teeth come together, it's like you're chewing rocks, because you literally are. Sand, remember, it's just tiny, tiny rocks. And these kids are living with it. It's in their food. It's in everything. Many have been reported to been thinking about suicide. Several have tried. Other children have literally tried to just walk off into the desert just to get away from the conditions in the camp. And that was all reported by me last week while I was reading the whistleblower report. And of course, the mainstream media completely ignored it. because the only whistleblowers that the mainstream media care about are the fake ones that go after President Trump. Those are the only ones they care about. If they actually point out conditions that are harming children's lives, well, that's just Republican right-wing conspiracy theory, and we don't need to talk about it, of course. So here are pictures of this Republican right-wing conspiracy theory. Let me play this video. Damn it, Fox! I hate when it does that. I hate when it does that. Let me try it. Here we go. Wow. Wow, wow, and wow. Here's another one with the infamous Mylar blankets. They are not aluminum foil blankets, folks. They're Mylar. They're space blankets. They're very effective. But as you can see, that's all these kids got are mattresses and Mylar blankets. And as you can see, some of them are wearing masks, some of them aren't. I understand that COVID is quite rampant in those facilities, with infection rates well over 10%, sometimes upwards of 15 or 20%. Now, of course, kids aren't as affected by the virus as other people, and they don't spread the virus as much as other people. But we have been hammered over and over again by the left, by Fauci, by the AFT, by the NEA, that kids are dangerous and can kill everyone within a foot radius around them if they aren't wearing a mask and behind plexiglass shields and anywhere from 3 to 6 feet apart. Do you see any of that in these pictures? Do you see any of that? Because I don't. I don't see that at all. They've also been telling us that these facilities are basically cleared out now, that all the kids are with sponsors, which is absolutely also not true. They've been flying these kids out in the middle of the night to places all over the country where no one knows where they're at. None of the localities where they're being dumped are being told that they're there. They're being watched by contractors who have lucrative federal contracts, but zero experience taking care of kids, like ServPro, the disaster recovery company. We've talked about them several times. They figured prominently in last week's whistleblower report. But these aren't cages, folks. These aren't cages. These are tents. So therefore, it doesn't need to be talked about. These are tents. So let's read some of the article here. Since March, the Donna facility has expanded, and CBP has put greater emphasis on more quickly processing the migrant families and unaccompanied children who are kept in its facilities in the U.S. Numbers initially went down to the hundreds in April and May. UACs are quickly moved into HHS custody, Health and Human Services, where more than 14,000 children and teenagers are currently in care before they are released to parents or guardians already in the country. And as I've said, this is supposed to happen within 72 hours. And instead, and with some of these kids, it's literally been months, and there's still no word as to whether or not they're going to get out. Some of them don't even know if anyone's looking for them, because their caseworkers are not being related to them in any way. Some of the kids at the Fort Bliss facility didn't even know they had caseworkers. Continuing. Meanwhile, migrant families are either expelled via Title 42 public health protections or processed into the U.S., often with just a notice to report to their local Immigration and Customs Enforcement office when they arrive at their destination. But the numbers have continued to increase and are now outpacing even the rapid processing of CBP. A Border Patrol source told Fox News that as of Thursday, there were 5,300 migrants in custody, with about 40 to 60 per pod, over the COVID-19 enforced cap of 10. So 4 to 6 times what the COVID regulations require, if I may do the arithmetic. On Thursday, more than 800 children were apprehended at the border, while 612 were released into HHS care. Overall, there was an 8% increase in UAC encounters between May and June, and a 25% increase of migrant family encounters. And remember, we were told by the diaper wearer in chief back in February that this was just a seasonal flux when the numbers shot up after he killed all of the Trump border policies, including the agreements we had with Mexico, Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala. Totally trashed every one of them within his first couple days in office. And then the migrants surged to the border, which he called for back last year. We need to surge to the border. That's a direct quote. He said that on national television. And they did. And interview after interview with coyotes and other human smugglers are saying, we're bringing them here because Biden's in office and we know we can get them into the country. That is what every one of them are saying. They couldn't get in under Trump, but they can get in under Biden. And so they're doing it. And the cartels are literally making billions and billions a week now. It was millions a week. Now it's billions when you add them all up. They are the richest criminals in the world right now. And it's just getting better and better for them. But we were told it was seasonal. That once it starts warming up, it'll back off. And I told you it's just the opposite. As the weather gets nicer, the numbers increase until the summer heat starts to back it off a little bit. But it still stays strong up until the rainy season in Central America, when they don't want to travel outdoors anymore. Because, of course, most of these people are just on foot for weeks and weeks at a time. And you don't want to do that in torrential rain. So they travel during the dry months. And I told anyone who would listen, it's just going to get worse. And I was right, but I said it would back off as it got hotter. I was wrong. It's getting even worse. Because you remember, in June, there were about 178,000 plus encounters at the border. And last month, we have preliminary numbers that were over 210,000. And they still haven't released the actual numbers yet. And the article mentions that it's up dramatically from the 78,000 encountered in January. Last week, the White House unveiled strategies to tackle the root causes for illegal immigration and has previously announced funding for measures to fight violence and corruption in Northern Triangle countries. The surge in migration comes amid a renewed fear of COVID-19 spread related to the Delta variant, with concerns that migrants in packed conditions could spread the virus to other migrants, agents, and Americans if they are released. Folks, it's not a matter of if they are released, it's that they are being released. McAllen, Texas declared a state of emergency this week because of the thousands of migrants that are being dumped in there every week, including 1,500 COVID positive last week. That's just the ones that were COVID positive. All into a town with about 140,000 people in it. I think that's roughly the size of McAllen. No more than 150,000, if I'm not mistaken. And there have been 7,000 COVID positive illegals dumped in McAllen since February. And again, that's just the ones that tested positive. They don't get a chance to test them all. And even if they did, that would show you, at least, maybe 10% to 30% of the rest that have come in. They're taking over hotels all over the country under no bid HHS contracts. And you saw that one Catholic Charities facility in Texas, I think it was 2 weeks ago, that had to be closed. And all the kids were scattered to the four winds because there were allegations of sexual abuse and mismanagement, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And again, it's happening everywhere. We're just not being told about it because they're telling everyone to shut up and keep your head down or we'll fire you. Here's an interesting thing, though. Just now, they've reinstituted a Trump policy. Just now. And it says right here, as part of the United States mitigation efforts in response to the rise in COVID-19 cases due to the Delta variant, The Department of Homeland Security has begun to transport individuals expelled under Title 42 by plane to the Mexican interior. That's according to a DHS spokesperson. As I said, that was a Trump policy. Just grab them, put them on a plane, get rid of them. What this administration has been doing is just turning people away at the border and giving them another opportunity to cross. Because remember, it's not illegal to present yourself at the border. It's just illegal to cross without a visa. So you could be a 21-year-old male and say, hey, I want in. And they'll say, no, you can't come in. And you can just come back the next day, come back the next day, come back the next day. And as we've seen, ultimately, they'll let you in. They've been letting people in left and right. They just now started flying people back into Mexico. But they're not saying how many, and they're not saying how often. So we'll see if this is an actual policy or just window dressing. All right, let's have some fun here. The Biden DeSantis controversy is kicking along. I should say controversy. Flame war would be a more accurate description. The latest Biden gaffe was this morning when someone was asking him, a reporter was asking him about DeSantis, basically saying that, yes, I am in the way, Governor DeSantis, I am in the way of the federal government trying to impose mask mandates and vaccine passports on the citizens of Florida. Because remember, Biden famously said that for these governors to just get out of the way. And so DeSantis plowed back in. But Biden was asked about this morning, and the diaper wearer in chief said, Governor who? And then everybody laughed. Ron DeSantis had his own response to that. Here we go. Watch your ears. The audio may be a little off.
Do you have a comment about the comment?
Sorry. I'm sure that hurt. All right, let's try that again.
Do you have a comment about the comment that President Biden made recently?
Well, I guess I'm not surprised that Biden doesn't remember me. I guess the question is what else has he forgotten? Biden's forgotten about the crisis at our southern border, I can tell you that. Biden has forgotten about the inflation that's biting the budgets of families all throughout our country. Biden has forgotten about the demonstrators who are fighting for freedom down in Cuba. And Biden's even forgotten about the Constitution itself, as we saw with what he did with this moratorium. And I can just tell you, I'm the governor who protects parents in their ability to make the right choices for their kids' education. I'm the governor who protects the jobs and education and businesses in Florida by not letting the federal government lock us down. I'm the governor who answers to the people of Florida, not to bureaucrats in Washington.
Oh, man, we're going to have to start calling him Mike Drop DeSantis. I'm telling you. Folks, run with it. Create a hashtag. Hashtag Mike Drop DeSantis. Go for it, because I think it would catch. And you can see he prepared that. He was waiting for the question, like any good politician. He was waiting for the question, and he knew what to do with it. And you could see he was checking notes about ticking off the things that Biden has forgotten, is not dealing with, or is ruining actively, which is more the latter than either of the former. And it was just, just pure in-your-face diaper wearer. Come back with next. Come back with whatever you got. So far, it is game, set, match, DeSantis. Once again, when Biden tries to go off script, he just steps on a rake. In fact, he steps on a rake with 1 foot in front of him and 1 foot behind him, thereby getting smacked in both the front of his face and the back of the head. That is Biden's off-script MO. 2 rakes. Pop, pop. And he did it again today. He did it again. And I gotta admit, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. There was a flame war against Jen Psaki on Twitter regarding her latest tweet regarding DeSantis. She tweeted a heavily edited, out of context clip of DeSantis from the other day, and tried to make DeSantis look like the governor who has been failing on COVID every step of the way, which, of course, again, it's just a complete lie. This is the administration who's telling us that they know the difference between truth and misinformation and are telling Facebook what to take down off their platform, yet just lie and lie and lie. So Psaki got caught in the lie. By the way, a video that Twitter did not flag as needing context. Funny how that works. And Psaki just got ratioed up the kazoo. It was beautiful. Hopefully I'll be able to find it because there were some really, really choice responses. Let me see. Let me scroll down a little bit here. Let's see. Just a second. Oh, here's an interesting story. Let's do a little entertainment news here. I rarely do that. You guys may know my original YouTube channel format had a lot of health stuff in it. There was a good deal of politics. Don't get me wrong. Some of my most popular stuff were a series that I did debunking Al Jazeera's Al Jazeera Plus, I should say, their take on Trump's border policies when he was running for president. And I just ripped into, what's her name? She wound up with the Young Turks for a while. I can't remember her name. Certainly prettier than the one who replaced her, but not smart at all. But a lot of stuff that I did was on health, especially obesity and the obesity epidemic, and especially fat pride and the fat is beautiful movement. I dove into that. I ripped into that. I spoofed my IP address in order to download a three-part series. Pardon me, not three-part. Download a piece from BBC Australia. No, ABC Australia. Sorry, Australian Broadcasting Corporation, not the American. But you couldn't download it as unless you were in Australia. So I spoofed my IP and got the copy. It's a series called "You Can't Ask That," and this particular one was "You Can't Ask That," obesity or fat pride, something like that. I can't remember the exact title of it, but it was an interview with, I believe, 4 morbidly obese people and how society has been holding them down. It was a complete pity party, and so I did a 3-part tear up into it. It's real popular. It's one of my most popular sets of videos still, even though YouTube shut me down completely back in 2018. But I still get the large portion of the views that I get are on that series. There was also a piece by the BBC regarding fat pride. Interestingly enough, they had morbidly obese people who were naked on camera. They were covering their naughty bits. And of course, when you're morbidly obese, it's easy to cover some of your naughty bits because the fat folds right over the top of it. But I also spoofed my IP address for that one. No, that's not true. I made up a fake London address. You had to have a British address in order to sign up for the BBC streaming service. So I faked a London address and got access to it. I've probably lost that access now. I haven't done it in years. But I downloaded that and ripped into that. Thing is, though, it took me hours to dither all of the somewhat naughty bits to make sure YouTube didn't drop the hammer on the video. I mean, I dithered and dithered and dithered so much, but it turned out really well. I'm pretty proud of it, and it's on my channel. You can find it. This was also a pity party for morbidly obese people, and I laid into them as well. So this headline just caught my eye. My 600-pound life star, Gina Marie Crassley, dead at 30. Her official cause of death has not been disclosed. She passed away this Sunday. Born in Galloway, New Jersey, Gina has been a lifelong resident of Ocean County, Living in Forked River, Barnegat, and Tuckerton for the last 6 years, her greatest passion was dancing, and she would make up dances with her sister and kids in the neighborhood growing up. She started the, quote, dancing has no size limit TikTok trend, and she dreamed of one day opening up a dance studio for special needs children. Gina once appeared in a movie when she was younger called Walking to the Waterline, and she enjoyed playing video games and spending time with her family. Crassley was featured on the reality TV series in 2020. The show peels back the curtain on people undergoing gastric bypass surgeries. In a clip from the show, Crassley says her life struggling with weight has, quote, been hard. I always felt my entire life like I was just pushed under the rug. Crassley said she used food as an escape, that's a quote, and was 300 pounds by 14 years old. Quote, as I was getting closer to 500 pounds, it started to get harder to do things. You didn't notice until you were 500 pounds, Gina? She was survived by her wife of 6 years, mother, her dog Bubba, and cat Daisy, as well as yada, yada, yada. And there's a picture of Gina. There's a slight video on TLC. I'm not going to play it. But folks, this is common for the morbidly obese. They die way young because morbid obesity gives you so many comorbidities. Cancer, lung problems, heart problems, circulation problems, diabetes, type 2 diabetes, which again, it feeds into circulation problems. So there's a double whammy. All kinds of cardiomyopathy, enlarged heart, and it just goes on and on and on. I talked about it all the time. And every now and then, I'd get attacked by some third-wave feminist, and they never lasted more than 2 rounds before they were totally destroyed and resulted to just calling me names and making up things about me that weren't true. I loved it. I enjoyed every minute of it. But the nice thing is that I'm very proud of this. I got a lot of feedback from especially young women who were having weight problems, and I'm not making this up. They're in my comment section. You can go look. I had a very, very, very heavy comments, rotation or achievement, whatever you want to call it. A lot of comments. One week, I had 72 comments to respond to. That's not the number that had happened, just the number that I had to respond to in a week. I heard from a lot of young women who were having weight problems, saw my videos, and started taking care of themselves. And some of them would stay in contact and give updates, and it was quite a beautiful thing. I really enjoyed it. I also did a couple, 3 videos on Whitney Thor, who I like to call Whining Whitney Thor. Those remain my most popular videos. I only did 3 of them, but they remain the most popular. So I was really heavy into that fat shaming genre, and it worked. It worked. I got a lot of great responses, and I will be honest, I helped some people, and I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of that. I wish I could have kept it up, but I ran out of things to say, so I had to keep going. But anyway, so much for Gina Marie Crassley. She's never mind. I can't say anymore. YouTube will give me a strike for never mind. So, all right, some more wrestling triumphs here. This is a Daily Wire by Amanda Prestigiacomo. Magic Man, quote unquote, American wrestler finishes Iran's quote greatest in dramatic fashion to win gold for USA. American wrestler David Taylor, aka Magic Man, I love it. You just gotta love it. Earned a gold medal for the U.S. this week in dramatic fashion, landing a takedown in the final 17 seconds of the championship match to edge out his Iranian opponent, Hassan the Greatest, Yazdan Icharati. Taylor, competing in the Olympics 86-kilogram freestyle wrestling finals, was behind the Iranian 3-2 in the final seconds of the second period before hitting a takedown and scoring 2 points to put him on top for a 4-3 win and a gold medal for his nation. None of the other matches were remotely as close for both Taylor and the Iranian, known as a known, quote, hero in Iran, the number one seed and a two-time world champion. Taylor reportedly wrestled a total of 10 minutes and 49 seconds at the Olympics. Instead of going the full 6 minutes, most matches ended early by pin or what's known as a technical fall, or a tech, when you're up on an opponent by 10 points or more, and the match is called. Heading into the championship match, Taylor, typo there. Once again, the Daily Wire has the worst copy editors on the internet, hands down. Taylor had accumulated 33 points in his matches and only allowed opponents to score a total of 2 points. Holy, wow, that is. I've won a lot of medals in my career, Taylor said after winning the gold. This one feels a little bit heavier. I think he only tried 3 times to score, Taylor added. I always say that if you want to be the best in the world, you need to take people down twice. You need to get 2 takedowns. Tonight was a good example of that. I needed 2 takedowns. Here we've got video of Taylor winning the gold. So let's go ahead and play it here. Let me look at the.
Find some late.
Sorry, I was trying to get the audio down, but I couldn't pull it up. Okay, here let me roll it back and blow it up full screen for you. Oops, hang on. Let me drag the frame to the left for you. I'll have to fix that when we come back, just so you know. So give me a bit of technical timeout when we get back, and let me scroll it up too. Okay, there we go. There's a full frame. All right, let's watch it.
Find some late to win gold against his.
Oh!
Taylor can celebrate. Find some
One
late
more.
To win gold against his.
Yes! A perfect arm hook. A perfect arm hook. God bless you, sir. God bless you. All right, let me fix the screen here. All right, I think that's about right. Right about there. I'll check again in the next story. The Springfield News-Sun noted that Taylor has had a goal to win the Olympics since he was 8 years old. By the time Taylor was 10 years old, Flow Wrestling reported there was an, quote, expectation that the wrestler would one day win an Olympic gold. Wow. 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 God bless you, sir. God bless you. Making the Olympics worth watching. I'm glad we had that clip to look at. That was special. That was really special. Let me drag this down just a little bit. There we go. Yeah, there we go. That's good. All right. I just realized I'm not logged in. Let me fix that real quickly. Hang on. All right. All right, there we go. All right. Welcome, Steely Dan. Nice to have you in the Trovo. Nice to have you. God bless you, sir. Nice to have you. All right, let me fix that there. D-Live is awfully tall on Trovo, and Trovo's awfully tall. There we go. All right. Ah, JF. That's so kind of you. So kind of you. Okay, this is bad news. I warned you guys this was going to happen. This is Daily Wire's Ben Zeisloft. Companies listed on NASDAQ's stock exchange will now have to comply with new diversity mandates for their top leadership. Companies must have, quote, or explain why they do not have at least 2 diverse directors, including one who, quote, self-identifies as female and one who self-identifies as either an unrepresented minority or, quote, LGBTQ+. Foreign companies and smaller firms would have, quote, additional flexibility in satisfying this requirement, close quote, by including 2 female directors. On Friday afternoon, the SEC affirmed NASDAQ's new regulations. Again, folks, this is why I no longer use the word unbelievable. It is no longer unbelievable what these people are doing to our country. It is just unfortunate. It is criminal in many instances. But it is not unbelievable anymore. It hasn't been unbelievable since last year. I just pray for a day when it will perhaps become unbelievable again. When this country can turn the corner and stop making such clown decisions based on made up. I mean, honest, these are made up identities. Again, it said self-identifies as female, and one who self-identifies as either an unrepresented minority or LGBTQ plus. These are not actual categories. These are make-believe. And now every major company on the NASDAQ exchange, which is the leader most often on the day, the Dow may fall, the S&P 500 may fall, but the NASDAQ is a very strong exchange, and it leads quite often. But this is going to kill. This is absolutely going to kill. Quoting SEC Chairman Gary Gensler, these rules will allow investors to gain a better understanding of NASDAQ-listed companies' approach to board diversity while ensuring that those companies have flexibility to make decisions that best serve their shareholders. These rules reflect calls from investors for greater transparency about the people who lead public companies, and a broad cross-section of commenters supported the proposed board diversity disclosure rule. Folks, that is nothing more than the vocal, but mainly, massively minority left. The vast majority of investors in any NASDAQ fund or NASDAQ stock don't give a damn about the makeup of the board. They want them to make money. The company makes money, the stock goes up, the investor gets added value. And if it's a company that provides a dividend, then sometimes the dividend goes up and the stock is worth even more. Nobody gives a damn if there's a self-identified trans Eskimo on the board at Google. Those who do care make up about 7% of the country, but about 90% of the noise. So I'm going to be interested in seeing. Heck, it's closed. It closed today when this came out. Interesting how they announced this on a Friday afternoon after the market closed. Isn't that surprising at all? No, not at all. They're trying to hide it in the news cycle and hope that the backlash will retreat over the weekend, and so the NASDAQ won't take it in the teeth come Monday morning. We'll see. Let's quote Senator Pat Toomey, Republican, Pennsylvania, the ranking member of the Senate Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee. Quote, corporate boardrooms, like all organizations, can benefit from a diversity of perspective, but NASDAQ's one-size-fits-all quota misses the mark. By defining diversity by race, gender, and sexual orientation, NASDAQ's mandate will inevitably pressure companies to subordinate crucial factors such as knowledge, experience, and expertise when selecting board members. He continued, I'm disappointed Chairman Gensler is turning a financial regulator into a laboratory for progressive social engineering. Vivek Ramaswamy, the former CEO of biopharmaceutical company Roivant Sciences, explained that he resigned from his post in January due to frustration over the leftward trend of the American business ecosystem. Quote, I'm fed up with corporate America's game of pretending to care about justice in order to make money, he wrote in a recent op-ed for the New York Post. Again quoting, it's not just ruining companies, it's polarizing our politics. It's dividing our country to a breaking point. Worst of all, it's concentrating the power to determine American values in the hands of a small group of capitalists rather than in the hands of the American citizenry at large, which is where the dialogue about social values belongs. Quoting again, corporations win, woke activists win, celebrities win, even the Chinese Communist Party finds a way to win, but the losers of this game are the American people. Well put, Vivek, well put. All right. YouTube, you're out of here. You're done. Again, start talking. Because if I don't hear from enough people by the end of the month, YouTube is done with both my morning and afternoon streams. I've been carrying the weight of YouTube on my back way too long and getting nothing for it. So, you know, if you want to come to Trovo or DLive, even Twitch if you care to, that's fine. The links are in my description here on the page, and it's right there in the pinned comment, or it's actually not pinned, but the comment there at the top of the chat. So get on your horses and do something. It's on you guys, I'm telling you. All right, YouTube. Bye-bye.